Good evening, and also thank you to all of you for joining this very interesting event. As David says, yes, I am now a steering group of the LandMark, but I am pretty new, so I don't know the details of how it works. But I do know its work, and it's, as you can see, it is really worthwhile initiative that has been taken forward by LandMark, WRI, and so on. So I would like to thank them. At the same time, I just want to share a few points reflecting on what has been presented from the speakers. Of course, as questions has been raised, there is always some kind of a risk and threat when we talk about this kind of maps. So understandably, many communities are there who are still not comfortable with it. So we have to definitely acknowledge that. But at the same time, as the world is changing, it's all evidence-based advocacy and lobby and so on, right? So that makes it very difficult and also becomes really important to be able to use data information, and especially map these days when you talk about land and territorial rights. And that also has been the case in Asia. Some people have been very effectively used. Some still find it controversial or not so comfortable. So we leave it to them. We don't force. But the thing is that all contexts are not the same, But what we have actually learned is that therefore what we are doing and engaging in this kind of process is to do it with this kind of awareness, sensitivity, and responsibility, right? That is very important, and that is also the reason that now as a consortium, LandMark is going to decentralize this process, and that of course is a good news to all of us because we think that it's really important. So in spite of this kind of risk involved, in the end, indigenous peoples are talking about territorial sovereignty to be recognized. So our territory needs to be recognized. Only thing is we have a different starting line. Some people have already moved ahead, and the territory needs to be very clearly recognized for many reasons, for self-governance reasons, autonomy reasons, to build up the structure, and also define the jurisdiction so that there is accountability and so on, right? So with this hub that we're talking about, that we would be decentralizing, one is quite clearly in Latin America. And for Asia, we're also hoping in principle, there is an agreement to that. And hopefully also in Africa that this initiative would be taken. Now this idea of decentralization is also how can we become more sensitive? How can we become more responsible? So that it is decentralized, it is more autonomous, and that it is able to devise how do we properly contextualize and effectively use in our own regions and countries. That's the reason behind it. And further to that, for example, in AIPP in Asia, we're talking about indigenous knowledge and data sovereignty. And we're also talking about indigenous community protocols. These are some of the tools that we are putting in to build the capacity, right? So that they know what these things are. So if communities are unprepared, are not prepared, of course, they are more vulnerable. That is why what I mean to do it with responsibility. So those kind of things help us to use these kind of tools more effectively and also more responsibly, with that kind of regional and local governance being very clearly taken into account in the process. Also, that's the kind of idea that we have. And of course, with these maps, there are many things happening. If we take a territorial map of a community and you overlap with the land use system and the ecological knowledge of the community, you will see that actually the territorial map is the ecological knowledge of those communities. And these things are being also used, internally speaking, right, to reinforce and revitalize the knowledge and role of women, for example, the youth's role in all these processes, and use this information to develop communities plan. And also even for projects, or also how to manage better. And I think that's what some of our people were also trying to do. So there are many uses of this, right? Even though there are risks. So if we do it more responsibly, we do think as AIPP that we can achieve more and overcome some of those challenges, and of course being very sensitive to the context. So finally, I will end by saying that this landmark will be launched on 31st October during the COP16 in Colombia in collaboration with the International Indigenous Forum on Biodiversity. So we look forward to that, and maybe you can help us spread the news and get us more people to support this initiative. So thank you very much. Yeah.